It's fun, right? I love it. But for those that are just listening on Spotify, I just popped in with a brand new haircut and I love it. And that's a lot what my episode has to do today. I do love short hair and I've had short hair many, many times, but I'm trying to grow out an undercut. So we went this route. So instead of like just going to a total pixie cut and like mohawking it and wow, that puppy's just laying up there. Anyway, my episode today has to do with something that for the last, I think like year and a half, I've been in a really dark place. And I don't mean dark place as in like suicidal or, anything scary like that. Just dark as in like depression and anxiety. And I don't want to be on antidepressants. I've been on antidepressants before and they made me crazy. Did anyone ever do Lexapro? Do anything still do that? That stuff would like zing. I don't know how else to explain it. I would just be in the middle of talking with someone and like it would feel like a lightning bolt went off and I had no idea what we were talking about. It would literally happen. I remember one time I had fell asleep in the lobby of a hospital. I think it was my granddad that was sick. My mom said that while I was asleep, I was just like shaking and convulsing and stuff. That stuff did a number on me. And what's weird is like, it also made me have a little bit of suicidal thoughts. It was just like the thought of like, I remember driving in my car and I was going to take the exit to go to my town. And there used to be this big hill that you had to kind of go around to take this exit. And I just remember driving being like, what if I don't turn? I wonder what would happen. Like one of those kind of things, but like I didn't do it. But it's just so weird how antidepressants are there to help you, but they can also give you suicidal thoughts. Anyway, I didn't want to be on antidepressants. I even thought about being evaluated for ADHD or ADD. Pretty sure I'm a candidate for ADHD, but I'm also scared that if I ever got medicated for ADHD, that I wouldn't be near as cool as I am. Anybody else like I'm scared to like snuff out my creativity or my quick wit. ADHD is a part of who I am. Why I think the crazy shit I think of. I've taken different medications for anxiety, and I remember having one thought at a time. But I remember thinking like, is this how everybody else is taking in the world? Because this is amazing. Just one thought at a time, not one word at a time, one thought at a time. And that's how bad it was, I guess, for me to even recognize that I was having one thought at a time. It just felt a lot quieter up here. So things got kind of dark and I was full of anxiety. It just literally felt like there was a cloud over me and I could not get out of this hole of these circling thoughts that I kept having. It was thoughts of what had I done? I didn't feel successful. Is this what it all comes to? I'm not where I should be. I thought I was going to be better than this. Like it was just repetitive and it would even branch off, into all kinds of things. And I camped out there. I tried not to, but it was all consuming. And it really did feel like I was in a hole that I just could barely reach the top of. And even if I was to reach the top, I wouldn't have the strength to get out. It got kind of, it just got blue. And my poor husband, like, I feel so bad for him. He was in the trenches with me. Like, anything, he would tell me every day, I will do anything to help. What can I do to help? What can we do to make this, easier, better? Whatever it is, let's do that. I'm here for you. And I didn't know what I needed. I didn't want to do, Western drugs to try to figure this out. Like I wanted to be free. I wanted to work through it, I guess, instead of going around it or feeling like I was just treating my symptoms instead of just actually getting to the root of it. In the meantime, I listened to a lot of different podcasts. Some of them were very delulu and some of them helped me a lot. You know what? And even to be honest, TikTok helped me a fuck ton because there's so many and I know some of it is not by accredited doctors or, whatever, but it definitely helped me see perspectives that I had never thought of before. And I think that's what do they call it? Like shadow work or something, like where you think through things almost like, why do you think that? And then you say, and then in your brain you think, why do you think that? And you just kind of keep going until you get to some core stuff. It may sound silly, but it worked for me. So one of the podcasts, this is what this whole episode's about, was, I believe it was Mel Robbins. Mind you, I was listening to a lot of podcasts at the time. I don't even remember if there was a guest on the podcast. I just remember one exercise that she asked you do in this podcast, and it worked for me. It might not work for you. If you're in a blue place, do what you got to do to crawl out. But if you're looking for suggestions and you just want to know what possibly worked for other people, this worked for me and is still working for me. I'm not completely out of the trenches. I feel a lot better, but I'm not where I was even a year ago. So what she said to do was to close your eyes. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. So, save this. Go back and do this when you can be at home or not driving. Okay. I don't know why you have to be at home. So you close your eyes. I want you to think of a time that you were your happiest. Now, I'm not talking about a moment in time. I'm not talking about when you graduated college, when you bought your first house, when you bought your first car, when you met your soulmate, when you got married, when your kids were born. Those are all really good. But that's just a moment in time. I want you to think of a period of time that you were your happiest. An actual span of time that you felt like you were your happiest. Think about everything that goes with it. Think about what you were wearing, what you ate. Think about what you generally did for entertainment or exercise or socializing or self-care. I'm pretty sure if you think about the happiest time in your life, it includes some incredible self-care that you were doing. I promise. There's no way that you can not be taking care of yourself and that wasn't a part of you being the happiest. Think of all those little things that you did. They can even be teeny tiny. Start doing some of those things. I will tell you what I've reached out and done. Obviously, I cut my hair. This was all part of a transition of me wanting to grow my undercut out. But also, some of the happiest times in my life, I had really short hair. Some of the happiest times in my life, I let my hair be natural. Yes, my hair is natural curly. It doesn't have to be as drastic as a haircut. It doesn't have to be as drastic as moving. Maybe you thought, it was when I lived in London I was the happiest. I don't know why that character came out. It can be as simple as drinking a cherry Coke. I'm telling you, I forgot how fucking good those are. I try to, every day, do at least 2 things that make you sit back and think, it's pretty good. Life's pretty fucking good. Here's a weird one but it was important to me in my happiest part, whitening my teeth. I loved whitening my teeth. It doesn't bother me to wear the strips. It doesn't bother me to put them on, have them on. I have really sensitive teeth though, but there's a TikTok hack in case you don't know. You cut the bottom part and you just do it on the front of your teeth. You don't fold it under, and it's just take that with you. Okay. Put that in your pocket for later. But even something as why would that make you happy? I don't know, but it does. It makes me happy to whiten my teeth. It makes me happy to drink a cherry Coke. It makes me happy to lay in the sun. And I know there's lots of people that are going to come for me and be like, skin cancer. And I'm like, listen to me though. Listen. Vitamin D. Okay. I apparently need a ton of it to be able to feel like I'm able to function. Being near water. Being near fucking water is life-changing for me. I gotta walk around barefoot in some grass every once in a while. Just think of little things. Is it gonna cure depression? Probably not. Is it gonna make you less anxious? Probably not. But I want it to change your thinking, if it can, even for a moment, of those little things that can make you happy. No one has taught any of us to not feel like at times that we're being chased by a tiger, right? There's so many different TikToks that I've seen where people in the corporate world or people at their jobs and they're on a break, they will sit in their car and they're like, we're not in an emergency. I'm not going to let my job make me feel like I'm being chased by a psycho killer. And that's how we create things in our brain, and it builds. I have had such a change in what I do every day. I've had to reconsider what's important. When it really gets down to what you feel like you want to do, not what you thought you were going to do or the expectations of others, really sit with yourself and decide what makes you happy. I was even making little Instagram stories of, saying wear the pants, wear the dress, wear the, maybe it's even something that you wear. Maybe it's putting on fake eyelashes. Maybe it's buying a new pair of shoes. Maybe it's a certain scent of soap that you were even using in that moment of life when you were happy. Dude, scents and songs can take me back immediately. There can be a smell of a shampoo, like the pink herbal essence. Boom. You talk about take me back in time. or Pert Plus. Maybe it's an old ringtone, because ringtones, depending on when I had those ringtones, if it was a good part of my life, I bring those ringtones back on my phone for when somebody calls. It takes me back to when I was happiest. I don't know why we always feel like we have to be ready for the next thing that'll make us happy, the next thing, the new thing, when really figuring out those things in our happiest time, we can create new happier times with some of those old happier times. Does that make sense? But I wanted to share this with you because cutting my hair is a part of it. We're getting a swimming pool. Talking about smells and sounds. A swimming pool! I was a lifeguard for, it feels like forever. It was one of my most favorite jobs that I ever had. I mean, it's at the top. It's in my top 3 most favorite jobs that I ever had was being a lifeguard. I mean, think about it. Like I mentioned before, I was in the sun. I was around water. And my feet were on hot concrete. I was constantly hot. It was everything. The smell of chlorine, you know what I'm talking about. The smell of chlorine is dopamine, or is it endorphins? Or is it serotonin? Whatever you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Sounds of a swimming pool, like the filter running and the suction of the jets and the whatever. We're doing it above ground, by the way, so we're not those fancy schmants, $50,000 in-ground pool. We're not those people. Cut my hair. We're getting a pool. I've spent more time outside, doing way more self-care. Just don't get lost in all of it. Really enjoy yourself. And it sounds so simple, but I know that I reminded somebody by talking about this that it is important to do those little fucking things that mean so much. Like I mentioned, a cherry Coke. Can I tell you what a cherry Coke does for me? It makes me so fucking happy. I also want to feel like I'm living. I also want to feel, God, just that kick of yes. It's just me. It's just me enjoying a cherry Coke. And then I go on with my life. And it was just a moment in time that I was like, it's not all bad. I can drink a cherry Coke. Try to remember a moment in time, like I mentioned, and think of everything you were doing back then. Something I was doing was going to a shit ton of concerts because I love live music. And I love plays. I love going to live theater. I'm going to do more of that. I'm going to do more concerts. Just remember what it truly feels like to be happy and to be you and do those things. Obviously not in excess. I guess that's what I'm trying to explain is I don't want anyone to be like, oh, well, if I drink a cherry Coke every day, I'd gain 15 pounds. I'm not saying drink a cherry Coke every day. But think of the little things that you forgot you enjoy. I forgot, this is another one. I started Grey's Anatomy from the very beginning. It's like on Hulu or whatever. It makes me so happy. I freaking love that show. I don't even know what's happening currently on Grey's Anatomy. I think I'm on season 5 or something. But it took me back to a time that I was my happiest, is when that show was on. And I don't feel like this is a way of escaping reality either. Because I thought of that too. Am I really just trying to live in that moment in time by also watching the TV show that I was watching then? And, am I lying to myself? I don't think so. I think it's reminding what myself felt like when I was happy. I did a ton of dancing back in the day. Yes, it was at Cowboys and I was a little bit lit. But I'm saying I try to dance a little more every day. I'm not a very good dancer, but it makes me feel good. And that's what I'm trying to hone in for you to remember. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else either. They don't have to understand what you're doing or why have you started doing this or, any of that. Whatever it is. And also don't get rigid with it. Don't try to make these things that you do that make you happy habitual, because then you will dread them and you will burn out. So don't do that. Definitely just keep yourself where it still delights you and you still enjoy it. If you are kind of feeling like you're under the cloud and just not feeling like yourself, or even forgetting who you are, or even still not knowing who the hell you are, that's okay too. You can still try to figure that out and do 2 things each day. 2 things. They don't have to be big. They don't even have to be purchases. They can just be 2 things each day that really make you set in the present time and remember, you know what? It ain't that fucking bad. It's going to be okay. Everything is going to work out perfectly. Everything. And I think if we remind ourselves, I have to do this. I have to, in those moments where I do feel my heart start to race and I can feel myself, not a panic attack or anything that serious, but I can feel like the cortisol start to build up in my body, or I feel like I'm stressing out. I'm telling you, your words have a lot of power over you. And I will just shut my eyes and I will go, you're safe. You're standing in your own house. No one is after you. You haven't done anything wrong. You're safe. You're safe. You're in a safe place. You're safe. I'm telling you, you can think it's crazy, but it will change. You will remind yourself, fuck, I am safe. The hell am I freaking out about? Like, it'll take you back down. It helps me. I'm not going to say that I'm some MD and these are, wonderful tips and tricks and the rest of your life is just going to be, free and fantastic. But these have helped me, is being able to just talk to myself, do at least 2 things every day that make you happy. I guess a big part of the healing is also remembering who you were then in that happiest time, whenever it was. Just who the fuck you are, right? Just remember that. Remember the things that you have accomplished and you didn't die. Remember the things that you have done. Think of some funny memories that you had with some friends. Don't get too nostalgic and camp out, because some of that can be counterintuitive to trying to not be depressed. It may take you down a road of, oh God, and then I remember this and this didn't work out, and don't do that. But try to remember just who the fuck you are and what made you feel like your best. I know. This probably sounds like some cheesy pep talk, but it helps me out. So I don't know if this is going to help you at all. Maybe it's just a little too delulu for you. I don't know, but it's definitely helped me, and I wanted to share that with anybody else. So make sure today you make time. You think of the happiest time that you remember being. I just remembered mine, and it made me smile. Just remember being in your happiest self, and try to tap into some of those things that you were eating, wearing, going to, talking about, listening to, smelling, just all those things that you enjoy doing without obviously harming yourself. Do those. You're welcome.